Hey guys, Dave here, and welcome back to another ad-free episode of FFBE War of the Visions. In this episode, yes, we're revisiting the trial event again. I made another video because I was still curious about, just how much energy do I need? How many times do I need to run this? How many tokens do I need to be getting per boss run so I can actually get a +5? So I went in and I did all the math. Now, again, it's based on averages. But I took 5 examples from JP, other videos, and my own, and combined that information and did all the math for the bonus unit calculations. So I'm going to present all that to you guys so you have a good idea of what's coming. However, I will say that this is for the FF4 event. That's what I'm basing these calculations on. And I looked back on like Ultima and Famitsu through like all the Japanese posts, and I saw a couple that said maybe the first event with Masheri as the bonus unit with the double-headed dragon and the ribbon was slightly more generous with the bonus values, the multipliers, but we'll talk about that. So without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about the most important part, how the points are calculated. Alright, so this score was taken from one of my attempts. Don't worry, I'm mostly free to play, and I don't play that much, and I started on the Mathematician, which is later in the game than Global is right now, okay? Just as I think Mathematician maybe another 3 weeks to a month from where we are in Global, if it follows suit. So I didn't even start until that point, and I was still able to get this score. Now this is my second attempt, alright? So let's take a look. So clear, it's a fixed value. Overkill, it's based on how much damage you do. So the more overkill, the higher score. Damage taken, obviously I got 0. But once you take a certain amount of damage, which I don't know what the value is, you won't get any points for that. So you want to take as little damage as possible. If you're stealing time and you kill the ads quickly around him with AoE or whatnot, then you shouldn't be taking hardly any damage. Okay. Then specific units killed, I put both attempts on auto, and they killed units that normally probably wouldn't even attack me, to yellow gargoyles on the side of the map. So I'm assuming that's what the 50 is from. But if you're going to do it on manual, expect to not get that. Okay. Number of turns, it took me about 70 because I went into the second one. So I'm assuming, you don't clear it in the first attempt and you're going to get 0. As long as you have even 1 turn left, you're probably going to get some points. Items used, I've never used an item yet in this game. I don't really see what the point is because we don't have any hard trials. So yeah, it's like a 50-point freebie right there. Okay, no deaths, minus 262. I guess when I wasn't watching, one of my units died in the first attempt. But yeah, so that's a minus there. So I actually would have gotten a higher score. You can see down at the bottom, I had 2200 was my highest score on that. So I could have done better there. Okay, and then the multiplier, I only had Kane with me. We'll go over the multiplier later. But the 5, I skipped over some of the other ones because they're going to be key. So the attack type weakness for this one was only Pierce for spears. And the element was only Holy for light. And we'll take a look at that. That's for both raids in a minute. Okay. So chain and elemental chain, those are the other keys right there. I got a really bad score on those because I took in like a gunner. I had like one of each attack type. I was chaining Holy, so that's where I got the elemental chain, or that's why I got the elemental weakness from doing the Holy, and I actually got a decent score, higher than some of the people who got double my score. But normally you wouldn't get that. All right, and then the multiplier. The chains, and the weaknesses, those are the 3 factors that you have to balance based on your team makeup, what characters you have available, to find out which combination of that is going to get you the highest score. So we can't tell too much just from looking at this. So let's cut this off here, and then we'll go into more details. All right, so here we can see 5 different attempts. The one we just saw on the previous screen is mine, and that's in the top middle. Now, we we have two values for each one. The top value is the raw score. So for mine, 1504, that's before the bonus. Okay, so then I took the total score with bonus, the 17-ish, and I divided by the number of tokens that I got, which was 8, and I got 223. Okay, and then for the other 3 that aren't green, I did the same thing. So we can see it's about 200 points per treasure box token there. Now the one at the bottom, he got the highest score, but didn't have in the video the screenshot of that. So I did a reverse calculation based on the average, and he should have gotten about 26 shards, which is there in green. All right. Now, these are the teams that they used in each of them. My team was mismatched. I'm not even going to post it because it's not worthwhile. But all of these teams, you can just use that as a benchmark. Those were the scores that they were able to get with those teams. So if you have similar units, you can use that. We will talk more about the bonus units, which ones are going to be the best and get you the best results. So a key thing to point out here is the bottom left one actually did better than the bottom right one, because look at the raw score. So we have a 3716. They got 500 points more than the bottom right. However, the bottom right had more bonus units, and they ended up with a higher score in the end by, what was it, 5,200 versus 44. So they got, what is that, 800 points more just because they had 4 bonus units instead of just 1. So don't worry if you if you only have dark slash units and you're going for cane or whatever, that's a score that you would be able to achieve in the bottom left. However, I wanted to take the average, what I think the average player is going to get. So the top left one, I put a blue border around it, and that's pretty much what I'm going to use as a benchmark for my calculations. So we're going to use 1 treasure box token equals 200 points in your score, and we're going to use a 3K score. That one's 3,300, but I actually chopped it down a bit. So we're going to use a 3,000 score, aka, what is that, 15 tokens? No. Oh, I can't do the math in my head now. So we'll take a look at that later. Okay, so let's move on and see how much we would need. All right, so before we jump into the next one, these are just the benchmark rewards that I took from JP. This is for the FF4 event and not the ribbon event. So they might be different. I wasn't there. I'm not sure. And I don't feel like going and getting all the screenshots. Sorry. So I calculated it. It's 400 total. So you get 400, which is, we'll take a look at what 400 equates to. And then if you get rank 1001 to 5000, which is where probably most active players are going to fall, you're going to get another 100. Now, it's kind of confusing, or 100 rank, but you get 104 rank there. So you're going to get about 400 to 500 extra there. And it's very easy to hit the 500K. I'm already at like 1.5 mil. So you should hit that no problem. So you're going to get at least 400 here. All right, so this is where it starts getting really crazy. All right, so I'm going to explain a little bit. We're going to start with the bottom left. So don't quote me on this because they don't make it so you can actually view what's in every treasure chest unless you're on it, unfortunately. So I think I remember the first one was like 350-ish. The second one about 400-ish. And then the one that I'm on is the third one is 550, and it looks like you have the same amount of items in the next 2. So I'm assuming it's about 2,400, maybe 2,500. But we're going to assume that there's 2,400 total items in all the chests. Now keep in mind you get 1 skip, and you don't, like on the final chest, if you get all the items that you need, you don't have to pull the rest. So taking that into consideration, you might be able to chop that 2400 down to 2200. But we're going to assume that you need to go after everything. That you were very lucky, or you didn't know about the skip, or you used the skip in a bad spot. Okay, so we're going to assume the worst case scenario. So we have 2400 that we need to get all the chests, and that's the only way you're going to get enough recipes to make the +5, unless you do the Chocobo mission and like all 60 items happen to be the recipe, which is absolutely unbelievable. Okay, so we have 2400 minus 500, so that's the 400 that we just looked at for the milestones, which everybody should be getting as long as you're actively playing, and then 100 for being in the rank bracket that I showed you. But that one you won't get until the event is over and has been calculated. So that's kind of taking a risk. Okay, just heads up. All right, so we're assuming that we have 1900 left to farm, okay, at 200 points per. Okay, so 200 points, we need a 200 point score on the boss in order to get one token. So if we do the math there, 1900 times 200 is 380,000 points that we need in total. So then we move to the top right. One hard boss mode is 30 tickets. Okay, now keep in mind this is all manual. If you auto the boss, you only get 8 times your, well, it's going to be based on your bonus. So if you put in all bonus units, maybe you'll get 10, but it's still really bad. Okay, so you want to be manualing everything just like you would in the raid. Okay, so here's where that blue border came in. We're assuming a 3K score per fight, which is a little bit below average. So with the 3K score, you're going to need 127 manual boss runs in order to do it. That is 3,810 tickets. Okay, so as you can see in the top left, that's from a calculation that I did running on JP. You're spending about 2.63, or you get about 2.63 tickets a run. One run is 12 energy, okay? And in 1K, I got about 220 tickets. So that could vary, but we're just going to go with the 2.63 because all these calculations are based on averages. Okay, so that's 1,449 runs, okay? Then that equals 17,388 energy divided by 7 days for the event equals 2,484 energy per day. So that's equal to 20 L-sized pots per day that you're going to have to, one, save up for these, and two, be using, putting it in auto farm when you're doing something else. Now keep in mind, you'll still want to do your hard quests and everything on top of that, and other like bonus things for missions. So you want to have even more than that. So I think any free-to-play player should have had at least 20 slots and whatnot unlocked. My JP is a little bit more, but I've spent a little bit and I'm a couple royal ranks up. So you want to have plenty of pots. I would say about 150 to 200 L pots ready for this event if you're free to play and you want to get a +5. Alright, so I'm going to go over both bosses, but starting first with the one that's more important to us, the one coming on global. So I've added 2 things. I checked that steal time is okay, and I added Whisper on this one because I forgot to put her on the last one, and now she has more space to get more recognition. That's the only reason she's bigger. And Bling Bling Stern, he's still small because that's your actual chances of getting him and getting him up in time. So now, do you remember those 5 things or 3 categories that I said were the key on building your team? Number 1 is going to be the bonus units, which we'll take a look at in a second. And the next one was building a chain and an elemental chain. So these are all dark and they're all slash. So check, check. And the boss, his weakness is slash and dark slash. So check, check. All right, so we're not that great on bonus units per se, but we do have 4 of those 5 bases covered. And as we saw, the bottom left got far more points. So if you can throw Stern in there, and you can throw Shadow Links in there, who are bonus units, you're going to get the best of both worlds there. All right, so you should be able to, like, assuming the points work the same, you should theoretically be able to, with the Shadow Link, Stern, Dark Slash, Steel Time team, be able to get about 5,000 to 6,000 points per run, because this one will be easier for us to get points because both weaknesses, Dark and Slash, coincide with our units. But the new event, it's Light and Pierce, which don't coincide with any units but Rob. So poor planning there, unfortunately. But hopefully we get better stuff in the future. So these are the units I think are going to be best for this one. So if you want to get the top score, start working on these units. They will also work, as we saw in the bottom left, who got the highest raw score. That player, you'll be able to get a decent one with a Dark Slash team, assuming you have a Cane or one of the bonus units, come the weapon event also. Alright, so this one isn't as obvious what you need to do. Holy cow, that's a lot of units. Wow. Yeah. So as we saw from the bottom right and left, with the higher raw score versus the higher total score with the bonus, we now know that they're different combinations that we can use. So again, you want to balance those 5 key things, the chains, the weaknesses, and the bonuses based on your roster, the JP that they have, the gear that you have, etc. So that guy actually had a combination of my light units here, slash ones that I put, and then the Lancer units on the left-hand side. Personally, I think they're going to be roughly about the same. However, on the left with the Lancer units, we have more Steel Time users and we have more bonus units. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at the boss. So Steel Time, okay. All right, so we have a 20% weakness to Strike, Pierce, and 20% weakness to Light attack on him. And by the way, I was able to stun him, but stunning still counts as him taking his turn, and it theoretically would break the chain, so you still want to Steel Time. Okay. Now on the Lancers, we have Cane, which is large, very large. We have Victra and Eileen, which are large, and we have Medium, which is Ramada. So basically, the makers of the game are saying, Pierce, Pierce. So even though you might get Cecil or the Archer unit, what's her name, Rosa, they're not going to be really that great for this. Cecil, he is light, so you take advantage of that, but we have a 10% slash resist, so you're cutting the damage bonus in half. Whereas the other ones, you're still getting that 20% there. Now the light slash team at the top, I put the Thief in there for Steel Time, but the key thing to notice about these light units is 4 of them are limited time. Now granted, a lot of free-to-play and people that spend a little bit have gone after these units because they're popular. They are limited time, so it's going to be hard to do. So in reality, you're probably going to be like 1, the bottom left, 2, the bottom right on the previous slide, who got the 5K, or you're going to have a team of Lancers. So that there's different things that you can do. I personally think the Lancer team will do the best because you have the most bonus units. You have 2 that can Steal Time, and you can chain there. However, the elemental chain is going to be very difficult, unfortunately. But because of all the bonus and all the high damage and the synergy, I think that could be the best. But in the end, it's you have to try it. Because there's a lot of things that we don't know yet. Okay, so I don't know why I saved this for this point, but I did. So I went in, I have all of these units except Rosa and Cecil on my JP account. Now, granted, none of them are leveled up except Monty and Kane at 74. But I was able to take them on my team and at least see what the multiplier was. So they're calling very large on JP. 19% is the multiplier for those. So remember we saw 1.19. Well, the 0.19, that was our 19% multiplier. So why not just make it 20? I don't know. But I noticed that when I took another unit in the hard missions, you can't take companions on the boss, but you can in the hard missions, you got a 22.6. So you actually got like a 3.6% boost by having a second one. So if you take maybe all three of the FF4 units, you will get an even larger bonus, which is interesting. I saw the same pattern with large. So I was only able to test 2 very large because mine and the companion, but large I have both of them. So we had a 10.7% for one, but an 11.6% bonus for 2. So we got 1.6% extra by having both. Then we had a 5% for Ramada, which again I would recommend taking her if you're going the spear route. Maybe even if you're not, as just a steal time. And she might be able to do just a slash chain if you're not going for slash elemental as well. Then Monty, yeah, 3%. Yeah, I guess you could use them, but yeah, good luck with the elemental chain there. Earth, I mean, they should have at least made it. You know, if he's going to be weak against light, use the Vistral, the dagger guy who can steal time or something there. So I know Monty's the main character, but he really doesn't fit in this based on the boss abilities. And Cecil kind of fits, right? Because you can do that, but he's strong against slash. And then Rosa doesn't really fit either. So yeah, I think they could have done a little bit better job optimizing the boss for that. Like make him 10% weak against Pierce, 10% against all those, and just make the elemental neutral. That way you can build a missile team, you can build a Pierce team, or you could build a slash team. I think something like that would be good. Because you can take any of the routes. Whereas these are 3 completely different elements and attack type units as the main bonus units. So to make an event like this, where it almost like wants to force you to take them together, I don't really think it's optimized for that. So if they're going to have these events in the future, I think they really need to rethink what they're doing. Because, like FFBE, for example, you just have the units, and any unit can chain with another unit. There's different chain types in that, but you could have like a fire ability chain with a dark, and you still get the elemental chain with that. But in this game, you don't, so it makes it really difficult. I know the units have to be different elements, but if they're going to do these, they should make the bonuses far outweigh the values that you get from like chaining the same element or chaining the same thing. So the bonus value should maybe be like 100% and 50%. So if they want you to have the bonus units, then you buy the bonus units or save up for the bonus units. But if not, then they need to just redesign how it works. Okay, and as a bonus, I'm just throwing this in. So this is assuming that you go the piercing route, the Lancer route, which is, I assume, the way that they want you to go based on the majority of the bonus units and the weakness of the boss. These are like the espers, and the vision cards I think would be best. So Odin, the guy is a human, so you can have human or man killer on there, plus the slash, which isn't really going to help. Titan has Pierce, Ifrit has Pierce, the Iron Giant up there, and the double-headed dragon, they both have Dark Killer on them. So they would help and then also boost the physical. because there's only, what, those two up there with the pierce on them, I'm pretty sure, other than Ochu. Oh, no, Ochu, only the card. Never mind. Then down at the bottom, vision cards, you have Titan, which is Pierce single man killer group. That would work out very nicely. The haste card, you obviously want that always. Then we have Over a Snowy Field. That's probably the single best because you can get up to 35% more damage for all of them. Then Ifrit, you use the tank card unless you have Ifrit above 30%. And then I couldn't think of another good one, so the Dragon, because if you have Eileen or Victor, they're probably going to be hitting 9999 very quickly, maybe with like a chain of 4 or 5. So yeah. Now, you might say, oh, spear users, they don't chain as well as some of the other ones. Well, when Glacelia comes out, she does a triple attack, so you get a chain of 2 started just there, and she's very, very quick. Mine is agility 93. So she can chain very quickly there. So these are my recommendations coming up for that. Alright guys, so I hope this video was really helpful for you. It took quite a while to gather up all the information, and again, it's based on averages, so you might do better, you might do worse, but I set the benchmark pretty low. So I think even free-to-play players who have been building up and preparing for this should easily be able to hit that 3K mark for the boss. Now, this is a slide from the last one just showing you how you get the points. I'm not going to go over it again, but you can look at it while we're talking about it. So yeah, this event, I mean, I kind of like the way that it works, but I think it's way too grindy. I think you just need to cut that down, and they also need to realize that the Western audience doesn't like to grind as much as the Eastern audience does. And maybe the Eastern audience doesn't really like it, but they kind of put up with it, whereas the Western audience, we complain more about it. We're just more vocal about it. But yeah, I think it's way too grindy. The fact that you need to save up about 20 large energy pots a day, or maybe even more if you have a lower score, that's kind of too much in my opinion. But the weapons are very strong, and the ribbon is very strong, so if you want a strong reward, you're going to have to work for it. I understand that. So I'm not bashing the event. I just think the bonus optimization for the units needs to be rethink. They need to rethink that. And I think they need to rethink about how many tokens you get for the number of points total. But like overall, I did it was an interesting type of event. It's kind of like a combination of a raid and a MOG event from FFBE. I think that's probably where they got the idea from. And I have nothing against that. I actually kind of enjoyed going through it at JP. But another point of constructive criticism, I think there should be more milestone rewards. The fact that you're probably going to hit 1 mil, 1.5, 2 mil, and the milestone rewards stop at 500K, I think they should probably go up at least to 1 to 1.5 million. Because if you think back to FFBE and those raids, they wouldn't be that easy to hit the milestones. You might be lucky if you hit it in some of the last couple days. In this one, I hit it in the first couple days, and now there's nothing else to aim for there. So that would be nice as well. So I hope this gives you plenty of insight to get prepared so you can get your +5. If you follow these 2 guides that I've made, there's absolutely no excuse for not getting a +5 as long as you have some of these units already and you just take the time to prepare. So I think it's definitely doable. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And again, Discord will be open. We're going to be running rain verifications. So if you're interested, or you just want news or like an active community, feel free to hop on. We'll be more than happy to have you there, and I'll be more than happy to answer any personal questions you have about the game there as well. So again, thanks a lot, and see you next time. Take care.